So these kind of core areas that I'm looking at here is I found that there's four main areas that are kind of causing a few issues in this, right? Either they're good or bad. Empowerment, transparency, engagement, and connections. So these four kind of domains, if you like, are the domains which can make things or easier or not. I can make it harder or better for people. So let's step through these a little bit as well. So empowerment. So empowerment, what I'm talking about there is, are they empowered to do the job that they need to do with the tools that they have available to them? So we can see this kind of data point here. I've pulled some data points. This one's from Microsoft, the YouGov survey. 87% of businesses have now adapted to hybrid working. They've empowered their users, they've empowered their staff, empowered their employees to work from home, partially because they've been forced to, right? But partially because they're starting to build, actually, it does work out. Out of necessity, UK organizations have actually accelerated this modernization, right? What's the reason for your digital transformation? Well, COVID, right? It's not because they want to be the best of the best or this or that. It suddenly had to flip things very, very quickly to support remote operations where they weren't able to do that before. And because of that, 87% of business have got there, right? If we look at the stats here from the employees, 31% feel they have to be twice as productive when they work at home because they're not as visible physically. They have to feel like they're more productive. They agree that they are working longer hours and taking fewer breaks because, again, they're not saying no to meetings. They are just being visible. And 42% agree they're not having to commute to and from work means they have longer work hours because that extra time in a day they have filled up with other time. And that can be quite dangerous, right? This is them trying to showcase that they are hyper productive and hyper visible. But there's some real problems with that because burnout is something that is quite difficult to solve, really. On average, these office workers from a Forbes survey as well want to work from home about 14 business days a month. So we want to sort of see what the personal benefits. So what's the flip side? So all this negative that we've just been talking about. Well, 69% are saving huge amounts of commuting time. 62% of people are saving money. They're not buying, eating out. They're not traveling so much. And then here's a big one, like 57% more time for personal hobbies because they're using the extra time where they can. So being empowered to work from home, even if it's been forced upon the organizations, has made a big impact to people, but there is a flip side to the negative side of it, right? Transparency, let's look at the transparency side of things, okay? When I work from home, I feel like I have to be twice as good. When I work from home, I work longer hours. When I work from home, I feel like I must communicate more to demonstrate my value. Work from home, I feel like I have to be available at all times. Similar kind of data here, but the transparency here is like trying to make their work visible. So not only they're empowered, but I have to show that I'm doing it rather than actually just adding value. For the Office of National Statistics, this sort of came through as the average hours of people working a week. This dark line here is the recent data point, considering what it was mainly before. The people actually working hours a week was increasing year on year on year for the guys who are working from home. It's important to be kind of conscious of that because the working hours and the working patterns change as well. In April 2020, home openers' work patterns were similar to office hours. If you're working from home, you kind of start around 9ish, you finish around 5ish. But as everything's pivoted, this kind of big grey bar shifted. People are actually working later. They're starting later, working later, and they're actually trying to do, I suppose, more later in the day. So they're actually become more flexible. Now, this isn't a negative thing. This is the fact that like people's working patterns are flexible as part of it. And that's quite difficult to have predicted. That if we ask people to work flexibly, that some people will decide to work in the evenings rather than the day to support the child or the family or whatever that's going on.